So this particular video is specifically for the ushers or anybody who might wind up assisting the ushers in their ministry. We're doing this separate video just because things have kind of radically changed for the ushers and what their job responsibilities are in this interim period of time, but before we get fully back to Mass with no restrictions. So we're going to ask some new things of the ushers, and I think it's just easier if we did this video so that you can kind of see it. It'll make more sense to you than putting it all on paper and then having to read it, and it may or may not click with you. All right, so the key thing is getting here early, okay? We need you at least 20 minutes early. Because we're going to have people coming early because they want to get a seat. Now this is going to be part of the dilemma. I'll be honest about this. At the time that I film this, which is Thursday afternoon, before Pentecost weekend, we're not 100% sure exactly of what the rules are going to be. So I'm going to deal with both scenarios that can come into play for us this weekend. Scenario one is that we're limited to 50 people. And if that's the case, one of your job responsibilities will be to be out here counting the people as they come in. Dane County Department of Health has already warned us, the diocese and in fact parishes, that you cannot exceed the 50 or they'll fine us. So the 50 is a real number. It's not a guesstimate. It is including myself, Brother Kamud, Val playing music, the cantor, the ushers yourselves, the reader, and camera person. All of those count against that 50, right? So we start out already with a number in the low 40s, okay? So you'll have to know what that number is at each Mass, and then count people as they come in. And yes, we'll have to cut people off if the 50 number rule comes into play. All right, so what'll happen then? People are going to come in off the parking lot. We're going to have this door propped open. I know that that's not a preferred method. It would be nicer if we could hold it, but the reality is we have jobs for all 4 ushers, and holding the doors is really just not going to work, especially in the 50-person scenario. All right, so one of the things you'll need to do is to prop the door open. We got one of these patio bricks here to keep the door open. And hopefully people will be out here spaced out 6 feet apart from each other. But one usher will need to be outside with a pad of paper counting people, so that grand total, including all the ministers and everybody else that's involved in Mass, cannot exceed 50, okay? So and if you got to cut it off, you'll cut it off. And this is what we'll do. And I'll just talk about that since we're out here, and people will be wondering, if they get cut off, what happens? We'll invite them to go back to their cars and use their cell phones and watch on Facebook Live. Be able to watch the liturgy, just kind of like what they've been doing at home. But the difference will be, we'll allow them to come in and receive communion, but they'll just pass in, receive communion, and come back out to their car. All right? So inform them of that, especially if anybody's getting upset or whatever. But one of the things you'll need to do is try to keep everybody calm and try to get them to understand that these are the rules that we've been given. We're not happy about it, but it is the rules as they are, and we have to live by it, okay? So that'll happen to the overflow. So once you get to number 50, of the grand total, you send them back to the car, invite them to watch on Facebook Live, and then I'll make a call through the microphone, which they'll be able to pick up on their Facebook, inviting them into church if they wanted to receive communion, okay? So that's how we'll handle the people over 50. Once we get, once people come in, the next thing we'll want to do is have them, use the hand sanitizer, okay? Get a squirt or whatever so that they come in. The church will already have been wiped down, and so we're hoping they're not bringing anything in, and then we're not spreading stuff around. So the hand sanitizer will be there. We'll ask them to use it. A note before we go past the restrooms. Not expecting you to enforce this, but I am expecting you to be aware of it, that we've been asked that the bathrooms are one person only, right? It's very hard in these bathrooms to be able to, unless it's like a parent-child kind of thing. It's very hard in that scenario for two people to not be within social distance boundaries, okay? So one person at a time going in, and they'll be asked, to wash their hands and whatnot, come back, or use hand sanitizer, hopefully wash their hands. I mean, it's gross if you go to the bathroom, don't wash your hands, all right? And then they can return into church. The other room over there, the cry room is not available. It's closed down. There's no way of making that work in this scenario. And the bride's room is kind of emergency use only. So we're really not going to be using that. In fact, you guys won't really, other than the counting information that you would know, so the count that would be before Mass, to count up to 50, which will get us the count for Mass. So you'd just be doing that before Mass started.
Will they let you know if there's somebody waiting out there?
To let me know. All right, what do you mean? So we talked about the bride's rooms, kind of emergency use only. Since there won't be a collection, you actually won't need to go in there to get baskets or anything. But it will be where your clipboards and whatnot are to do the count. Again, if we're in the 50-person scenario, you've already done the count. It's what people are when they come in, and you cut it off, and the grand total will be 50. All right. But when it comes to if it's the 25% rule, then you'll do a count just like you would at any other Mass, and we'll record that number because we'll want to know what that is. It's important for our future planning on how we deal with these Masses, so we need you to count the numbers. All right. One of the things I want you to notice right away is that the basket is out front. Because there's no collection, people will be making their donations as they come in or as they leave. Two of the ushers, okay, so now we've had one usher outside that has been, doing the count. We're going to have two ushers, at least on the inside, that are helping to seat people. So they come in, they make their their donation to the collection, and then what's going to be next is you're going to ask to seat them from the front to the back. Okay? It's easiest for you to be able to do that. It's important. Some people aren't going to like it. Tough. Okay? We want to fill it from the front to the back. You know what that's like when people are standing up and we're trying to get, an idea of what numbers are. You can't look through heads and you can't see, to see what's available in the front. We'll just take this opportunity. We're going to fill from the front to the back because we're going to dismiss from the back to the front. But it's important to try to fill up as best you can with, families and then that 6-foot gap and another person. So a couple of you, ushers, will be kind of responsible for helping people find seats to fill up in all the different sections, including there's a couple of rows still behind the choir area. All right, so in this segment of the video, we're going to talk a little bit. There's not much you have to do for communion, but there is a little bit, and for preparation of the gifts. Preparation of the gifts, really, it's only if we're at the 25% rule. And if we're at the 25% rule, at the normal time that you would be taking attendance, you would do that and write that down. Okay. Again, if we're at the 50-person total rule, you will already have done that when you were checking them off as they came in. So that's the one thing that will still remain in preparation of gifts because the basket's going to stay. You're not doing the collection, and we'll deal with the baskets at the end of Mass. Okay. Communion. The one thing that you have to do, you won't have to go row by row. Deacon Kamud and I will try to tell people what they got to do in terms of flow. I'll probably make mention of it before communion actually starts as to how it's actually going to happen again. We won't need you for that except for one thing, which will be the overflow. All right, so those people that got turned away and got sent to their cars and maybe out there watching. All right, I won't know necessarily, and I can't think of a good way for you to pass me the information that there's people out there. So what I'll just do is I'll make an announcement on my microphone, which they should pick up on Facebook Live, inviting them into church. So what I'll need you to do as communion's going on is to prop the door back open on the main door, and then people will come in to receive communion. Now it's important then you start looking at the marks that are on the floor here, right? You see X's that are 6 feet apart from each other, there's 2 lines. One, either deacon or myself will be here to distribute communion. The other place will be the mark for the people who are coming in to stand when they receive communion. And then the X's give them 6-foot distance going back outside the door. So you'll open the door and people will be invited in and they'll have hand sanitizer there. I don't know why it even cared about that.
What was that?
It's saying that it couldn't connect to, the data network, but we're not doing anything with data. You know what I mean? So, all right. So, when people are coming in the door, what's important is that they use the hand sanitizer and that they stay on the marks. As they approach up, they'll come receive communion, but instead of going back out the same door, they're going to go out the other door and go out the other front door and then sweep around so that they can maintain the 6 foot of distance between themselves and another person. So this again is just for the overflow. Open the door, hand sanitizer, people on the marks, out the other set of doors and back out to their car, okay? So that's the one thing that you will have to do at communion. Now, the recessional, okay? What's important here is we have to clear church, and we have to do it in an orderly way. So we're going to need you to dismiss people by pews, okay? Well, we're going to do this in a couple of different ways. First, I'd like you to notice the doors themselves, right? So the main doors will be used for entry and exit. The door that heads over, it's in the direction of the rectory, is emergency use only. No entry and no exit through the door over there heading towards the rectory. The other door that goes towards the parking lot will be an exit only except for in emergencies. Okay, no one will be coming in that door. We can't do the counting if somebody's coming in off the parking lot, right? We start to lose track and we need to be able to control the seating in here, okay? But when they go out, it's fine if they use that door. So we'll need one of the ushers over kind of controlling the dismissal of that section of pews on the far side. So guiding people out, one pew at a time, going out, and they'll prop open, by the way, the usher will prop open the inner door and then prop open the outer door. There'll be a brick out there to prop open the outer door. So people will just go through, they don't need to touch anything. Okay, so that's one of the responsibilities of that position. Then dismiss pew at a time. Then someone will be over here dismissing alternating pews at a time, right? So if somebody's in this back row, you'll dismiss, people will go out and continue out on their way the doors. Then you're going to move to the next set of pews, invite people out. Move down another section. Once that's empty, go back to this side, invite out. Once this is empty, go back to this side. So you're alternating sides and moving down sections of rows, controlling people's dismissal, and we're going to be going out from front to back. Once these sections are complete, and if it's going at such a pace that we can take some of the front people and send them out the parking lot door, that'll be fine too. They'll just have to go out the side and out, assuming that section is clear. And then as this section clears, then clearing out the couple of pews that are back there behind the choir area. So it's really important for you to control flow and not have people running into each other and violating their 6 foot of distance. The other thing that will be asked of parishioners is they'll be urged, but not required, to wear masks. However, when you are here and you're interacting with people, you will be required to wear a face covering. We encourage you to bring whatever you're normally using. And during those parts of time where you're going to be getting into closer contact with people, you're going to have it on, okay? It's a requirement that came to us from the diocese. So bring one, and whenever you're getting close to people, you have to have it in place. And you're encouraged to wear it all of the time, but at least those times, okay? I think that's generally, what's that? Oh, the baskets. Yeah, that was the last thing. You notice that over on the side, the door by the parking lot, there is another basket over there. Now, all people will be coming in the main doors. They'll have an opportunity to make their offertory here. If for some reason, though, they weren't ready at that particular moment, and they're going to make it on their way out, there is a basket over there. So if the people that are exiting out that door, there is a basket there. So try not to cover it up so that people see it and they can make their donations. And the same here. So then after the church is emptied up and people are out of here, you would do just like you would in a normal mass. You get the 2 baskets, go to the back, put it in the bag, put it in the safe, and that'll be it. So I realize, oh, yeah, and the one thing too, of one of the ushers, right, so we've got a couple people handling this dismissal stuff. We'll need people out, keeping people moving out of the narthex. Nobody stops in the narthex, okay? They got to keep trucking, all right, and get them outside. Once they're clear of the doors, people can gather in the grassy areas or in the parking lot if they're maintaining their 6 foot of social distance or whatever. But they cannot bunch up in church, okay? So it's important, one of the jobs is to keep them moving. So when they get out of here, keep herding them like cats, okay? If we need to, we'll get you a cattle prod and you'll give them a good jolt and you'll keep them moving. No, that probably won't happen. It would be fun if it was happening, but it probably won't happen. All right, so that's kind of what the general procedures are going to be. We thank you very much for doing this. I realize this is going to be a challenge. It asks you to do more than you would normally do and that we're expected to do, but we are greatly appreciative of your, helping us out here. It helps us to get back open. Without you doing this, we can't open back up. That's the reality. It's one of the requirements, is that we have people doing all of those job functions. So we appreciate all that you're doing, and thank you very much for it. And we look forward to seeing you this Sunday and in the Sundays to come. God bless you.